All right.
Well, I wanted to thank you for taking time to speak with me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
And happy Friday to you, my friend.
You as
Oh,
well.
I wanted to ask you right off the rip, how long did it take to put Buried in Black together?
Um, I would say for the most part, the bulk of it, like 95% of it, was all done within 1 year. I announced the band Orchid Throne publicly on my birthday, November 16th in 2024. And then I announced the pre-order for the album. The album was finished on my birthday, so November 16th, 2025.
Wow.
Um, I had one song done, but I still had a lot to learn about mixing. So it's the demo version. Some things
Sure.
changed. I had put that song out when I announced the project. And then I had like a demo version of Guilt
Mhm.
already mostly done. So I tried to put that out, but I wasn't happy with that demo version that I put out. And then yeah, everything else was a process of writing and recording and learning how to mix all within that year from
Sure.
conception to completion.
And Moonlight Revelry is a standout track to me. I wanted to ask if you could speak on that track.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Funny enough, I'm doing like a track by track analysis series where I talk for like a minute in little short form videos about the songs, and today's was Moonlight Revelry. Um, you know, I've been going on the 70,000 Tons of Metal cruise festival, and there's just a ton of great bands that go on it. It's such a good time. I think I've been two or three times now. The first time I went, I actually was performing as an artist with my band Empress.
Oh, wow.
Um, and I just fell in love with it. I knew I had to go back. I met my girlfriend Mary on that cruise. So we kind of make it an annual trip. I think we missed 1 year, but we make it like a trip, and it's just such a good vibe. And I already was in the midst of working on the album, and I knew it was going to be dark and sad and very real. Um, but after getting off the cruise, there were so many like anthemic metal bands, and people were running around in circles, drinking and like having a
Sure.
great time. And I was just inspired. I was like, man, my music, if I was up there, it wouldn't make people feel this way. It would be a downer. And I like downer music. But I was like, it would be fun to have like an anthem and like a
Sure.
doom song that's still anthemic that you want to have fun and sing along to. And it actually means a lot to me, the moments in my life where you could just be chilling with your friends, your close friends around the fire, uh,
Mhm.
just getting drunk, singing songs, telling
Sure.
stories. Those moments in life are really precious to me. And I thought,
Absolutely.
how sad is it that we waste our lives working and working and all the pain and suffering we deal with, and then maybe you get that like Saturday night with your buddies. And I was like, I just want to hold on to that moment. So the song is trying to capture that essence of being with your people, and the verses kind of juxtapose it with like back to the daily grind and life is rough, and then we get to those moments where we're together again. So I thought it was really powerful, and it means a lot to me.
And another song that really stood out for me was With Promise. I wanted to ask if you could speak on that track as well.
Yeah, this is one that I was really, really excited to unveil to people. It came about as the last song that I finished. Uh, there were two things about it that I knew I wanted from the get-go when I began writing the song. First off, I had that piece, Breath of Autumn, for a very, very long time, well over a decade. I've had
Wow.
that piece, and I was like, I want
Mhm.
to use it for something. I always imagined it as the intro to a long song. Um, on this album, I separated it because I just felt like it's its own thing, but it does foreshadow going into the last song. And there is a connection there. Not many people have really picked up on it, but there's a couple little musical connections where they play on each other. Um, but the melody that the flute takes in the second half of the song, that was an idea I had again, like a very long time ago. And I always knew I wanted to have this like really beautiful building outro with this theme. And then the very end of the song where I just break it down with the piano and the vocal, I always thought it would be really cool to like fake people out on the ending and make them think this is it, it's over, and then there's almost like an ending credits.
Mm,
Um, and that piece was something that I wrote a couple years ago. And honestly, that song is intense for me because like those words that I'm singing at the end, I actually wrote down in my phone. I was just like really, really low one night. And a few of the songs kind of have this about them where I pulled up things in my phone that I had written down that I was feeling, and no
sure.
intention to ever share them with people or see the light of day. And I had written down these words, and then I had written that piano part later, and I just was singing it to the piano, and I was never sure I was going to put that out. It's very, very vulnerable and honest, and I think it's, people can take whatever they want from it, but the song kind of is like, hey, maybe it's better to just let go. Maybe if you were gone, you would be remembered as something better than you would be if you lived and
Sure.
lived and then you die old. Like, maybe it's better to die young in a way and maybe even take your own life, which, I'm not suicidal and I'm not depressed right now, at least. Um, but it's real. It's real. And a
Sure.
lot of people,
Absolutely.
I'm sure a lot
Absolutely.
of
We
people
all
feel
feel
that.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And I felt like if I'm making music that's honest to me, I know other people will feel some type of connection to that. And I really like, just ripped myself open and poured myself out there with the album. And it's kind of a hard one to listen to. That's probably the darkest song. But man, I just flowed and flowed, and I thought people might hate the song because it's just sort of idea after idea, and it just like it's this big thing, and I just felt it all kind of went in a consecutive order, and it told a little bit of a story, and it kind of closes the story with almost a question like, oh, is he okay? Does he make it? I don't know.
Sure.
What comes next? And I just thought it was fitting for the end.
Well, and it's suitable for the album because the album throughout you feel what's in your heart. You
Thank
can
you.
feel the emotion throughout the album, and that's what makes it so strong. I wanted to ask you and get to the working title of the band, Orchid Throne. Were you
Yeah.
aware that there's a book actually called The Orchid Throne?
Obviously, I have now since discovered that, and I have pulled, album reviews and whatnot, and I'm like, oh, there's a book called that.
Yeah,
When the name came to me years ago, I remember I do this with all of my bands I've ever been. I've been in so many bands and I'm in a bunch of bands. So every time the topic of what do we call ourselves comes up, I do the sleuthing and I look and
sure.
is another band called that? And Orchid Throne was not taken. I found great like symbolic significance to me in it, and I thought it sounded strong but also fragile. And I just thought maybe it works for what I'm doing with the
Sure.
imagery and the feeling. I don't remember seeing the book back then when I first looked, but since I've seen it and I'm like, well, hey, if there's just one book, at least it's not
Right.
like 10 bands like every other band. I mean, even my band Empress, some people get confused and they're like, isn't there another band? There's other bands called Empress, but it's a good name.
But the book is actually apropos to what you do because it's based
Really.
on political turmoil, it's based on emotional turmoil, and the
Ah,
the book is very I invite you to read it because
I should.
it's a very good book. It's the first of a series of three, as a matter of fact.
Oh, wow. That's really interesting. I didn't even look into anything about it. I just would see it pop up and I'm like, oh, that's funny. And I didn't even think about like, oh, what does it mean to them? But yeah, I should read it because it would be good to know. And it's
Yeah,
funny that they might be drawing the same feelings from it.
sure. And
That's cool.
I also wanted to ask you if you could speak on the album artwork and the artist that was involved, because I love the album artwork.
Oh yeah, I'm so glad you love it. I really love it too. I've only seen one person. They didn't like knock the cover, but I remember reading one person online was like, "Oh, I loved this album. Wasn't expecting it to be so good when I saw the cover." And I was like, "What?" I was like, "The cover's awesome." Maybe on a little thumbnail on a screen, it just looks like something.
Sure,
But um, so the artwork is painted by my buddy Ryan Gassaway. He's a pal of mine from New Jersey. He's a painter by trade, so he's an artist like full time, but painting for companies and stuff. Um, I saw his work online a lot. He paints a lot of like Gundam and anime, and I mean he can make it look exactly like the
wow,
shot from the show, and I was always really impressed. Um, his style didn't really, mesh with what I was
right,
going for at all. But I reached out to him and I was like, hey, I've seen some of your stuff and you make some of the like atmosphere very like dreamy. And I was like, maybe you could help me with this. And I gave him a bunch of ideas and we talked about it. He was excited. He loves doom metal and metal too. Like we've seen Swallow the Sun, like so I knew he would like get me.
right,
Um he was the one who presented the idea of painting a piece of wood. So it's a piece of particle board that he cut out, and the idea is by painting the black in it, the little fragments and shards of wood stick out in the 3D effect, and then he
hmm,
shaded stuff in so that it looked almost like it was falling in.
wow,
And yeah, I mean, all I told him was I wanted it to be like a black abyss, like you're falling into the void. And we had a bunch of ideas, but that idea I was like, wow, I've never seen an album cover like that. And it's a living, breathing, it's a piece of wood. And
sure,
so the idea is like the autumn leaves around the edge are sort of like the ground or the top layer, and then you're like falling in and you can see a figure in the middle of the blackness. And I guess that's me or you or whatever you see in that. He's
sure,
down there, maybe he's dead, but the autumn leaves sort of tie in the theme of fall, and fall is almost like a double meaning of like your fall, your descent,
sure,
but also the season, the change into the season of like everything is now dead and cold. So you're listening to the fall into the pit. That's how I envisioned it. He
absolutely,
he nailed it. He knocked it out of the park. I never would have thought of painting a piece of wood black.
absolutely. And it truly is prolific to the album. And I wanted to ask you, now that the album is out and it's amazing from top to bottom, what's the next step for you? Were there tracks that didn't make the cut for the album?
Yes, actually. One of the things that I had to do was stop myself halfway through this process. There were at least two more songs on the record, and then there was a bunch in the maybe bin. And I was like, I didn't know I was making a record when I started. I was going to
Mm,
maybe do singles and just put stuff out. I didn't know I was going to sell merch or do anything. I was just like, I want to start making my art.
sure,
And then I had like a eureka moment. It clicked to me. I could like see the story in these tracks. And it was hard for me because I actually got pretty far on a couple other songs and I was like, am I just gonna abandon them? And I ultimately did. I made the cut and I really wanted the album to actually be shorter because I'm not a fan of bands that make these hour-long albums. It's like a slog. It's like unless there is a reason for it to be an hour, I,
right,
I don't know why bands are doing that. You could make a 40-minute LP like they did in the old days, and everyone will love and gobble up every second of it, and then they'll want
sure,
the next one. So I was aiming for 40 to 50 minutes tops, and it was hard because Doom is slower. Um,
mhm.
I was struggling as I was writing. I was like, man, I'm already going over my limit here. I cut two songs and I still ended at like
Right, right.
54 minutes. Um, but the plan going forward is I have more music. There's a lot more, and there's a lot of stuff that's just ideas still. I am going to maybe release an EP some sort of like a separate thing that's just some songs that didn't tie into the album. Because I wanted to tell a story with the album. It didn't make
Sure.
sense to have extra material that didn't work. Tell the
Right.
story and get out of my hair. Um, but the next album that I do, I know I sound crazy because it's been out for a week, but I already have like the whole next album like in my mind, what I'm gonna do with what does it say? I have the tracks too, but they're not all done, and there's gonna be changes. But it's like I have like a track list and a story, and everything is in my
Sure.
mind.
And it's not that uncommon. And speaking in interviews with Tobias Forge from Ghost, he speaks of, I have the next five albums written, the stage
Wow,
shows, the presentation, everything,
damn,
because he
he's a
plans it
workhorse.
all that far ahead. And
Yeah,
he's
no,
always
he
been,
workaholic.
he said from day one, I've always been that far ahead. It's always been a planned, journey. And I didn't want to take all my best material, throw it on one, and then be lost the rest of the way.
I think a lot of bands actually suffer from that. It's always the like, how does our sophomore album live up to the first one? And I mean, I gotta admit, I didn't expect the first album to be what it became. So now that
Sure.
I'm here and I see it and it's like this living, breathing thing that people are consuming and people are telling me they really like it, I'm almost getting that like nervousness of like, can I do that again? Can I
Yeah.
top that?
Yeah. Am I gonna get the sophomore jinx?
Yeah, but I found a lot of bands will find their stride on like their third album and
Mm,
release maybe their best work after they've done a couple. They've like figured out how to fine tune themselves. I'm I've been fully transparent and open in this process. It's an honest album and I'm an honest artist where I had no idea what I was doing. None. I literally learned it as I went. I made this in a year. I think I can do better. I think I can learn a lot more. Some people are a little critical of the mix, other people like it. I'm critical of it. I'm like, it could be better. I can do better, but I need to learn. I need to get the equipment. I need to, there's so much to it. I respect the hell out of all these mix engineers, and
oh,
I
hell
don't know
yeah.
how I pulled it off, honestly. It was so much work, and I just kept learning and working on it every day. So going forward, I really want to top myself. That's my goal, top myself. I think I have material that's just as cool or better, different. I have different styles I want to explore. No one can stop me in Orchid
Sure.
Throne. I can just be only tampered down by my own creativity, which is really fun and exciting.
Absolutely.
It's why I did a solo project. Um, as like a bass player in my bands mostly, I get to like contribute a little rhythmic idea, or maybe I have a riff or two on a song or some lyrical
Mm,
contributions. But a lot of it is like, no, the guitar player, it's never my ideas. And this one I can just be like, I have an idea for everything. And if I can't do it, then it won't be done. But like I will play the piano. I'll sing it. I'll write
right.
it. I'll play the guitar. Like I don't think I'm that amazing at any one instrument, but I do think I'm somewhat talented that I could pull it all together and
Sure.
make the whole
Absolutely.
album. So I'm happy with what I did. I'm very proud of it.
And you should be because it's amazing top to bottom. I
Oh,
was so
awesome.
happy that Cody talked to me and introduced us because I would have missed the boat on this, and I had felt very bad to have missed the boat on this album.
Yeah, shout out to Cody. That was a cool move, and I'm glad that we're doing this now.
And I wanted to ask you if you could take me back in time and tell me how your musical journey started. At what age did you begin?
Yeah, I've told this story a little bit. I've never had any lessons. I'm not like trained or anything, but I began my interest in music started when I was 10, and then I started seeing guitars and I would just grab them and try to play them, and I just loved guitars. It was David Gilmour of Pink Floyd. When I heard their music for the first time in my life, it was the first time that music brought me to tears,
Hmm.
and that was when I knew I wanted to be a musician. I was like, I don't know what that feeling was, but I was like, I want to give that feeling to other people. That was like the most magical thing in the world to me.
Sure. And to me, when I hear David Gilmour, I always say over and over, that guy could do more with one note than most guitarists can do with 10.
100%. He's maybe my favorite guitar player of all time. And I love Pink Floyd, one of my favorite bands. But it was that inspiration. And then, going into school, I didn't own any instruments. I didn't know how to play. I didn't know how to read music. And I was growing up kind of poor, didn't really have anything. And I didn't take any of the music classes because I was like, I don't know, I'm a little too old now. They're not teaching the kids how to read music. It's like you got to play in the band, you need to read.
Sure.
So in high school, I started to I was a bit of a troublemaker and I would just sort of sneak out of classes whenever I could. And I would go hang out in the band room and I would watch them play in the concert band.
Mm.
And my teacher was nice enough to not just kick me out, but he noticed that I was coming in and just watching. And he was like, "Do you want to play?" I told him I don't know how to play. And he was like, "Sure you do. Like you seem interested. Like here." And he showed me a marimba, the with the mallets, and he
Uh-huh.
showed me and he gave me the music. I'm like, "I can't read the music." And he was like, "Don't worry, I'll show you what the notes are, and those notes are right here and here." And he's like, "I just want you to play this and get a feel for it. Doesn't matter if you suck." And yeah, I started playing. And then he was like, "I want you to start coming here. Take this electorate and start coming into class." And I did. And I began with percussion. I eventually got into the drum kit. I fell in love with watching the drummers play. And then, man, by the time I left high school, I played almost every instrument in that room.
Wow.
In my senior concert, I played a saxophone, a piano, a bass, a drum kit, just anything I could touch, all different types of horns. Like I could never play the strings though. I was terrible. I could never do it. But yeah, that's how it all started. Someone believed in me. They saw that I cared and had the passion for music. I was showing up on my own, so they harnessed that in me and gave me a chance. And I actually met my first bandmates in that room, a guitar player and a bass player, and I played the drums. And man, I was out playing live gigs since I was 16 years old, man.
Wow. That's amazing, my friend.
Yeah.
I took theory in high school, and you know, the final was to write a four-piece symphony. And the
Mm.
hardest part for me
Wow.
was to transpose the instruments.
Uh,
It was just I'm like trying to figure out the range of this instrument, the range of that one. I knew guitar because that's what I played. But as far as the rest of the instruments, I'm like, wow, it doesn't have this, it doesn't have that, so
yeah, and
it's
guitar has such a
crazy.
big range.
Sure. And so it ended up, I just kind of did it by ear and
Mhm.
ended up having the best one, but it
Oh,
was
wow.
just luck. It was just the luck of it, believe me.
Yeah, when I was composing a little bit, like before I left high school, I took every music electorate that they had available because I was just so in love with it. And I remember there was assignments where it was like, we're going to write a song, and here you just sit in class today, and we're going to write a song, and we're going to listen to everybody's songs in the program. And I remember my teachers always being like, "I really like this. Like, how'd you come up with this?" And I'm like, I'm guessing. And I also just think this would be cool based on what I like. And they're like, "I like this." And I'm a giant music fan. And I really think that's all it is. This is absorbing what I've heard, what I know I like, what I know I
Sure.
don't like, and just trying in my crudest way possible to emulate and be myself and, present what I do.
And the album's out. What's the best way to hear this album? And will there be physical copies in the future?
Yeah, I actually just announced a couple days ago physical merch for the first time. I had enough people asking me that I was like, I wasn't planning on it, but I should just do it. So you can get the physical CD now over on my Bandcamp, and I also have a shirt that just says Orchid Throne on it. And if you bundle them together, you save $5. That's all on my Bandcamp. That's the only place to get it. And if you want to download the album, the CD comes with a download, but if you just want to download it, you can download it on Bandcamp. Um, and then it's available for streaming and on YouTube. I mean, wherever you prefer, honestly.
And lastly, my friend, I wanted to ask you if you could give a message to your fans, what message would you give them?
Hmm. I would say don't give up. Um, whether you're struggling with something like emotional or mental, don't give up. Whether you're worried about the state of the world right now, don't give up. Um, and also what's come up a lot for me is, people asking about the musical side of things and like how do you get into this and that. And
Mhm.
I don't have the answers. All I know is who I am and what I did. I didn't give up. I just
Sure.
was persistent. I might be an idiot, but I was persistent and I just didn't give up. That's all I can really tell people. Don't give up. Don't give up on your hopes and your dreams. Don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on your country. If you want something, you got to fight for it and just take it one day at a time.
Absolutely. Any battle you don't fight, you've already lost.
Amen.
And and that's a thing we all go through in life. A year ago, I was facing cancer, stage 4 cancer.
Oh,
And
God.
there's a part of me, there are days where I was like, you know what? Fuck it all. I'm done.
I can
And
understand. Yeah.
but this podcast and everything I do is a part of the thing that kept me alive. I'm like, I have a mission. I want to bring out the best of music to people, and without me giving that voice out, then who's gonna do it? And
Yeah. Well, I'm glad
you
you're still
know,
here, man. And this is
absolutely,
awesome. It's great what you're doing. Sharing music with people, I think, is one of the most important things you could be doing.
absolutely, my friend, because music comes from the soul.
100%.
And and it saddens me that we live in an age that you can turn into Spotify and find 18 to 30 AI bands, but the thing they don't deliver is they don't deliver music from the soul and music from the heart, and it comes through totally. I was
Oh,
a
yeah.
I review like 20 to 30 albums a year, and I came across this band and I was like, man, this stuff's really catchy. The choruses are really fucking good. And they're called, I forget what they're called, but oh, Frostbite Workings. So
Okay.
I
Oh,
contact
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah. I heard that.
I contact the band and I'm like, he's like, you want to talk to one of the computers? I'm like, fuck no, man. If they get divorced and get taken for all their money, then I'll talk to them. But otherwise, we ain't got nothing to talk about. You know what I mean? So
That's
but
crazy.
yeah, it actually happens. It actually fooled me. And I was like, oh my God, man, I
I
can't
think we've
believe
all been fooled. I have a really good ear for the AI and an eye for it, but as it just keeps advancing and changing, it catches you off guard. It's caught me off guard a couple times, but usually I can find it and then correct myself later. But it's sad. There's older folks and younger folks as well that just they won't have any idea. And kids are going to
sure.
grow up in a world where this just exists and they're not going to know. And it's kind of like a scam,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah. It
So
makes you scared to get on, you know, even Instagram, Facebook, stuff like that. You get on there and you don't, or you turn on tube and you know that only half of it is really real. Half of
it's
it's
such a
really
shame.
what's going on. It
It's
scares you. It scares
it's
you.
scary.
Yeah.
Scary world. I don't like it at all. I would just ban it all. I would say no,
You're right.
stop. And like it can be fun. I feel like, if you wanted to hear like what would it sound like if Freddie Mercury sang, the System of a Down song,
You're
it's
right.
like, okay, like maybe I could see like how this is cute and fun, but you can't try to pawn making art off the people. The
Sure.
last thing AI should be doing is art. Who gives
Right.
a shit that a robot made art?
Right.
I don't care how good it
Absolutely.
is. It's like, what's the point of this?
Absolutely, my friend. Well, I wanted to thank you for taking time to speak with me and also thank you for creating an amazing album from top to bottom, my friend.
Well, thank you so much for having me and thank you for the kind words. I really appreciate it.
And I look forward to hearing what lies ahead for you. Please feel free to keep in touch with me at any time.
Oh, I absolutely will.
Thank you, my friend. You have a great rest of your evening.
All right, you as well. Thanks again.
Cheers.
Cheers.